The wrench slipped from my fingers and clattered against the concrete driveway, echoing like a gunshot in the humid summer dusk of our cul-de-sac in suburban Atlanta. Joseph's calloused hand shot out, catching my wrist before I could bolt, his grip firm but trembling, as if he'd been waiting a lifetime for this exact fracture in the air between us. "Joshua," he whispered, voice gravel-rough from years of unspoken secrets. "Don't run. Not from this. Not from me." I froze, heart slamming against my ribs like a caged animal, the scent of motor oil and his faded cologne mixing with the petrichor of an incoming storm. Alex, my best friend since kindergarten, Joseph's son, had dragged me over to their house that afternoon, laughing about how his old man's magic hands could fix anything, especially my beat-up Schwinn that had finally given up on the hill back from the lake. We'd been tossing a football in the yard, sweat-soaked and invincible under the Georgia sun, when the chain snapped mid-ride. Alex waved it off, yelling for his dad to play hero while he grabbed sodas from the fridge. Joseph emerged from the garage like some reluctant knight, sleeves rolled up on his flannel shirt, toolbox in hand, that easy smile creasing the lines around his eyes, the ones that crinkled deeper when he looked at me a beat too long. He'd knelt there on the driveway, grease smearing his forearms as he muttered about worn sprockets and cheap parts from Walmart. I hovered, awkward in my cut-off jeans and faded Braves tee, pretending to hand him tools while stealing glances at the way his shoulders flexed under the fabric, broad and steady from years hauling lumber at the mill. Alex had vanished inside to check on Mom's lasagna. Even though she'd been gone 3 years now, cancer stealing her quiet laugh and leaving ghosts in the kitchen. It was just us, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows that danced like accusations. "Hand me the chain whip, kid," Joseph had said, not looking up, but his voice had that low timbre that vibrated through me, the kind that made my stomach twist in ways I couldn't name or wouldn't. I fumbled it over, our fingers brushing, and something electric sparked, hotter than the asphalt baking under our feet. He paused, wrench mid-turn, and met my eyes. "You all right, Joshua? Look like you've seen a ghost." I mumbled something about the heat, but the air thickened, charged like the thunder rumbling distant over the pines. He went back to work, talking easy about baseball stats and how Alex was finally growing into his swing. But his knee pressed against mine as he shifted, accidental at first, then not. By the time the chain clicked back into place, the sky had bruised purple, and Alex was hollering from the door about dinner. I pedaled home that night with my thighs burning, not from the hill, but from the phantom weight of Joseph's gaze following me down the street. That was 2 weeks ago. Now, here we were again, Alex out of town for a baseball camp in Florida, leaving me to house-sit their golden retriever, Buddy, who was snoring obliviously on the porch. I'd shown up with my bike again, chain miraculously intact but tire flat as an excuse, heart pounding with the recklessness of it all. Joseph answered the door in a worn Henley that hugged his chest, hair damp from a shower, and invited me in with a nod that said he knew exactly why I was there. We ended up in the garage, same as before, the fluorescent hum overhead casting harsh light on the workbench cluttered with half-finished projects. A birdhouse for Alex, a shadow box of his wife's photos. He worked the tire iron with practiced ease, but his jokes fell flat, the silence stretching taut between us. I leaned against the workbench, arms crossed to hide the shake in my hands, watching the flex of his biceps, the faint scar snaking down his forearm from some long-ago accident at the mill. "You don't gotta babysit Buddy every night, he said finally, not meeting my eyes as he pumped air into the tire. Alex would understand if you bailed. It's no trouble, I replied, voice steadier than I felt. Besides, he's better company than my folks right now. Dad's working doubles at the plant. Mom's buried in her true crime podcasts. He chuckled, low and warm, straightening up to wipe his hands on a rag. Too close now. The space between us shrunk to inches, the air humming with unsaid things. You're a good kid, Joshua. Always have been. Alex is lucky to have you. The compliment landed like a punch, stirring that ache I'd been nursing since puberty hit, and I realized boys in the locker room made my pulse race, not the cheerleaders. Especially this boy man, who'd been in the periphery of my life forever. Barbecues in their backyard, Thanksgiving football games, the quiet way he'd pat my shoulder after Mom's blow-ups about my lazy-ass grades. Joseph Malone, the steady one, the widower who still mowed both lawns on the block and volunteered at the firehouse, even after Sarah's death hollowed him out. Kid, I echoed, the word tasting bitter. Boldness surged through me, fueled by the beer I'd snuck from their fridge earlier. I'm 19, Joe. Not a kid, he stilled, rag forgotten in his fist, those blue eyes finally locking on mine, storm-dark and searching. Yeah, he murmured, stepping closer, the heat of him radiating like a forge. I see that. The wrench fell then. My doing, I'd been gripping it like a lifeline, but my fingers betrayed me. It hit the concrete with that metallic clang, and the world narrowed to his hand on my wrist, calluses rough against my skin, thumb brushing the inside where my pulse thrummed wild. Rain started pattering on the garage roof, soft at first, then insistent, like applause for the madness we were courting. Joshua, he said again, closer now, breath ghosting my cheek. What the hell are we doing? I didn't have an answer, or maybe I did, but it was buried under layers of fear and want. Instead, I turned my hand in his, lacing our fingers, and pulled him toward me. His free hand came up to cup my jaw, hesitant, reverent, like I was something fragile he'd break if he wasn't careful. Our lips met, tentative, then crashing, salt and need and the faint tang of his aftershave. He tasted like regret and revelation, backing me against the workbench until tools rattled and scattered. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, rain now a downpour drumming the world shut. This is wrong, he whispered, but his arms banded around me, holding on like I'd vanish. Then why does it feel like the only right thing? I shot back, voice cracking, the boy in me warring with the man clawing to surface. He didn't answer with words. Instead, he kissed me again, deeper, hands roaming with a hunger that mirrored my own, down my back, under my shirt, mapping skin we'd both pretended not to notice. Buddy barked once from the porch, oblivious, and we laughed against each other's mouths, the sound jagged and real. That night, we didn't go further than tangled limbs on the old couch in the den, TV flickering some forgotten western neither of us watched. He held me as the storm raged, whispering stories of Sarah, not to compare, but to share the pieces of himself he'd locked away. I told him about the nights I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling fan, wondering why I couldn't just like girls like everyone else. Why Alex's easy grin twisted something jealous in me. Why Joseph's quiet strength made me ache. By dawn, the rain had cleared, leaving puddles like mirrors reflecting the mess we'd made. He drove me home in his truck, radio low on classic rock, hand on my thigh the whole way, territorial, possessive. We can't tell anyone, he said at my driveway. eyes on the rear view like my parents' lights might flick on any second. Not Alex. Not yet. It'll destroy him. I nodded, throat tight, but the promise of yet burned in my chest like a vow. School started back that week. Senior year for me and Alex. A grind of AP classes and college apps that felt trivial next to stolen moments. We'd text in code. Bike needs tuning meant meet at the garage after dark. Alex noticed nothing. Too wrapped up in tryouts and his crush on that girl from Chem, Mia. I'd nod along, forcing laughs at his stories, guilt gnawing like termites in the floorboards. Joseph and I carved out a secret world in the cracks of normalcy. Late-night drives to the quarry outside town, where we'd park under the stars and talk for hours, about his dreams of opening a custom woodshop instead of slaving at the mill, about my terror of community college trapping me in Atlanta forever. He'd trace constellations on my palm, voice rough with wonder. You're brighter than all that, Josh. Don't let this town dim you. We'd make out until fogged windows hid us from prying eyes, his hands teaching me patience, my eagerness drawing out his smiles, the real ones, not the polite masks he wore for neighbors. But secrets fester. One crisp October evening, after a bonfire at Alex's where too much cheap whiskey flowed, I stumbled into their kitchen for water. Joseph was there, rinsing mugs, his back to me. I wrapped arms around his waist from behind, nuzzling his neck, whispering filth that made him chuckle low. We didn't hear the screen door creak. Didn't hear Alex until his voice sliced the air like glass. What the fuck? We sprang apart, Joseph's face draining of color, my stomach plummeting. Alex stood there, eyes wide with betrayal, the bonfire's glow flickering through the window like hellfire. Dad? Josh? Tell me this is some drunk joke. It wasn't. The words tumbled out in a rush. Joseph's hoarse apologies. My stammered explanations about how it started innocent, how it bloomed into something neither of us could kill. Alex's face crumpled, not with anger at first, but hurt so raw it flayed us all. My best friend? My dad? You've been lying to me for months. He backed away, fists clenched, tears carving tracks through the soot on his cheeks. Get out. Both of you. He didn't speak to me for weeks. I'd see him in the halls at school, head down, veering wide like I was contagious. Joseph threw himself into work, shifts bleeding into overtime, coming home to an empty house since Alex crashed at Mia's. Our texts went unanswered. The garage felt like a crime scene. I spiraled, grades tanked. Fights with my parents escalated. Nights spent chain-smoking on the roof, staring at the stars Joseph had named for me. The breaking point came mid-November, leaves carpeting the streets in crimson decay. Alex cornered me after practice, slamming my locker shut with a clang that echoed down the empty corridor. You think you can just waltz in and wreck my family? He snarled, close enough I could smell the grass on his jersey. Dad's a mess because of you. Drinking again, like after Mom. You're poison, Josh. His words landed like hooks, ripping open wounds I'd barely stanched. I love him, I choked out, the admission hanging heavy. It wasn't planned. It just happened. Alex recoiled, disgust twisting his features. Love? That's my dad you're talking about. The guy who taught me to ride a bike, who buried my mom without a single tear in front of us. You don't get to love him. You're just some confused kid chasing a thrill. He shoved past me, shoulder checking hard enough to bruise, leaving me slumped against the cold metal, sobs racking silent. That night, I biked to Joseph's, chain rattling like chains, in the pouring rain, the kind that soaks through to bone. He opened the door, shirtless and shadowed, eyes red-rimmed from whatever bottle he'd drowned in. "Josh, go home," he rasped, but I pushed inside, dripping on the welcome mat. "I can't," I said, stripping off my soaked tee, vulnerability my only weapon. "Alex hates me," said I'm poison. "But I can't stop. I won't." He pulled me into the living room, towels be damned, collapsing onto the couch with me in his lap. We clung like survivors, rain lashing the windows as he confessed the rot inside. The loneliness after Sarah, the way he'd noticed me growing up, tall and sharp-edged, during those awkward summer barbecues. "I fought it," he admitted, fingers threading my wet hair. "Told myself it was grief, or midlife bullshit. But you make me feel alive, kid." For the first time since she left, we made love then, proper and desperate, on that sagging couch, slow at first, learning curves and breaths, then frantic as if the world might end at dawn. His body over mine, solid and scarred, whispering my name like a prayer. Mine under his, yielding and fierce, marking him with bites that bloomed purple. It was messy, profound, the kind of joining that rewires souls. But dawn brought reality. Alex returned that morning, duffel slung over his shoulder, face a mask of fury and fatigue. He found us in the kitchen, Joseph flipping eggs, me nursing coffee, hands brushing under the table. The air crackled, then shattered. "You son of a bitch!" Alex spat at his father, voice breaking. "How could you, after everything? Mom's memory. Me? He's my age. Dad. My best friend." Joseph stood, plate clattering to the sink. "Alex, listen." "No!" Alex roared, slamming his fist on the counter, a crack spiderwebbing the formica. "You think this is some Hallmark romance? The town's gonna eat you alive. Church folks, the mill guys, they'll call you every name in the book. And Josh, he'll bail when college calls. Leave you gutted." I flinched, the truth in his venom stinging. Joseph rounded the island, reaching for his son, but Alex jerked back. "I hate you," he whispered, the words a gut punch. "Both of you," he stormed out, truck peeling down the drive, leaving silence thicker than fog. Joseph sank to the floor, head in hands, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I knelt beside him, arms around the man who'd become my anchor, whispering nonsense about time healing, about us fighting for this. But doubt crept in, Alex's words echoing, the weight of small-town eyes, the chasm we'd torn in a family already frayed. Days blurred into a standoff. Alex holed up at Mia's, dodging calls. I split time between home, where Mom eyed me suspiciously over my mopey phase, and Joseph's, where we'd fuck like it was absolution, then lie awake staring at ceilings, dissecting the wreckage. He talked about therapy, about coming out to the firehouse buddies who'd rib him but stand by him. I applied to UGA early decision. Visions of Athens' anonymity a siren call, but the thought of leaving him carved hollows in my chest. The climax hit like a freight train on Thanksgiving Eve. The whole block gathered at the community center for the annual potluck, turkey and pecan pie under twinkling lights, kids chasing glow sticks, adults nursing spiked cider. My parents dragged me, Joseph's invited but absent. Alex was there, arm around Mia, laughing too loud at Uncle Ray's jokes. I hovered on the edges, plate untouched, until he cornered me by the dessert table. "You happy now?" he hissed, pie knife glinting in his fist. Not threatening, but the symbolism hung heavy. Dad didn't show. Said he's not up for crowds. We both know why. Alex, please, I begged. Voice low. Talk to him. Yell. Hit something. Just don't shut us out. His eyes, so like Joseph's, blue and stormy, filled with tears. You don't get it. Mom died, and he checked out. Became this shell, fixing everyone's shit but his own. Then you come along, and suddenly he's alive, smiling at breakfast. It should have been me pulling him back. Not this. The vulnerability cracked him open, and he sagged against the folding table, knife clattering. I miss him, Josh. And I miss you. But it hurts like hell. I pulled him into a hug. Awkward, backslapping like old times, and for a moment, we were kids again. Unbreakable. We can fix this, I murmured. All three of us. He pulled back, wiping his face. Maybe. But if you break him, I'll end you. The threat was half-hearted, laced with the love that bound us. Later, as fireworks popped overhead for some early holiday cheer, I slipped out, biking through crisp air to Joseph's. He was on the porch, beer in hand, staring at the empty street. Alex texted, he said as I approached, voice hollow. Said to save him a plate. Hope flickered, fragile as moth wings. I straddled the glider beside him, lacing our fingers. He'll come around. Families bend, Joe. They don't break easy. We sat like that as night deepened, stars pricking the velvet sky, the distant hum of the potluck fading. His head dropped to my shoulder, weight a comfort, not a burden. What now? He murmured. Now, I said, turning to kiss his temple, tasting salt and stubble. We live it. One messy, beautiful day at a time. Winter thawed into spring, slow and stubborn. Alex thawed too, grudging at first. Dinners where he'd poke at his food and glare daggers. Then softer, questions about how this even works over late-night Mario Kart sessions in the basement. Joseph started that woodshop dream, quitting the mill for custom furniture gigs that had neighbors buzzing. Not about us, not yet, but about the Malone comeback. I got into UGA, deferred a semester to stick around, working part-time at the local bookstore, stacking shelves while stealing reads on queer history that made Joseph's story feel less like anomaly, more like legacy. The betrayal lingered, a scar tissue tough but tender. Alex and I rebuilt, brome and forged anew in honesty. No more secrets, just brutal check-ins. You good with this? He'd ask, and I'd nod, grateful for the grace. Joseph and I, we burned steady, a fire banked but warm, mornings tangled in his bed, evenings carving trails through the woods, hands linked unashamed on porch swings. The town whispered, sure old biddies at the diner clucking tongues, a mill buddy pulling Joseph aside with awkward pats. But Atlanta's sprawl carried bigger scandals, and love, turned out, was the quiet revolution. One humid June dawn, a year to the day since that wrench fell, we stood in the driveway, me on my fixed bike, Joseph handing over a toolbox of his own, engraved with our initials intertwined. Alex watched from the porch, arms crossed but smiling faint, Buddy at his feet. Don't fuck it up, he called, half joke, half prayer. I won't, I promised, to both of them. Joseph pulled me in for a kiss, public, defiant, the kind that said we'd earned this. Rain threatened again, but we didn't care. Life wasn't a straight path, It was hills and chains and the occasional slip. But with grease on our hands and hearts wide open, we pedaled on together, changed, whole. The summer after high school graduation baked Atlanta into a skillet, air thick with cicada hum and the promise of escape. I was 19, freshly untethered from AP exams and curfews, but tethered tighter than ever to Joseph Malone, the man who'd fixed more than my bike that fateful afternoon. Our secret had cracked open like an overripe peach, juices sticky and inevitable, spilling into every corner of our lives. Alex's betrayal-forged truce held, fragile as spun glass, but it held. We'd navigate it with the same stubborn grit that saw Joseph through Sarah's chemo and me through Dad's layoffs. Day by day, lie by lie turned truth. Mornings started in his kitchen, sunlight slanting through gingham curtains Sarah had sewn, now faded but stubborn. I'd slip in before dawn, key he'd pressed into my palm one whiskey-loose night, and brew coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Joseph would shuffle in, hair tousled silver at the temples, boxers riding low on hips that still made my mouth dry. Morning, trouble, he'd rumble, pulling me back against his chest, stubble scraping my neck as he nuzzled. We'd stand there, his hands splayed over my stomach, tracing the faint trail of hair I'd grown self-conscious about until he called it sexy as sin. Breakfast was ritual. Eggs scrambled with peppers from the garden, toast charred just right, Buddy begging scraps under the table. Alex stumbled down around 8. If he wasn't at Mia's, yawning through his cereal and pretending not to notice when Joseph's foot hooked mine under the oak table. Pass the milk, lovebirds? He'd quip sometimes, the edge dulled to affection, and we'd laugh, nervous at first, then real, the sound filling the house like it hadn't since before cancer came calling. My parents suspected, of course. Mom cornered me one sweltering afternoon in our cramped living room, fan whirring futile against the heat, her eyes sharp as she folded laundry. That Malone boy dragging you into trouble again? Or is it his daddy now? I froze, hamper clutched like a shield, but she waved it off with a sigh. Lord, Joshua, I'm not blind. Just be careful. This town's got teeth. Dad grunted agreement from his recliner, beer in hand, eyes on the Falcons preseason. Ain't no place for that rainbow shit here. But if it keeps you out of my hair, he trailed off, the closest he'd come to blessing. The stung, their casual dismissal, but it was more than most got in our Bible Belt bubble, tolerance wrapped in discomfort, better than pitchforks. Afternoons belonged to work. I shelved bestsellers at Red between the lines, the indie shop on Peachtree with creaky floors and cat hair on the classics. It paid gas money for my rust bucket Civic. But the real perk was the quiet hours, lost in Vonnegut or Baldwin, words that mirrored the knot in my gut. Joseph drove his F-150 to job sites, hammering reclaimed barnwood into heirloom tables for Atlanta's yuppie set, lawyers craving rustic charm for their lofts. He'd text mid-afternoon, "Miss your face." Dinner at the quarry, heart emoji, always a concession to my millennial soul. Evenings were ours, stolen in the truck's cab overlooking the flooded pit-turned lake, city lights twinkling distant like fallen stars. We'd crack open PBRs, his vice, my tolerance test, and talk dreams. Mine, transferring to SCAD in Savannah for graphic design, channeling this chaos into art that screamed what words couldn't. His expanding the shop, maybe teaching woodworking classes at the rec center, showing kids like Alex how to build something lasting from splinters. One night, fireflies pulsing green around us, he turned serious, hand heavy on my thigh. What if it's not enough? Josh, this town's whispering already. Saw Mrs. Hargrove cross the street yesterday, clutching her pearls like I was the devil. I shifted, straddling the console to face him, thumbs brushing his jaw. Fuck Mrs. Hargrove. She's got her own skeletons. Remember her pool boy scandal? He chuckled, but worry lines etched deeper. I kissed them away, slow and deliberate, until his hands gripped my hips, pulling me flush. We're enough, I whispered against his lips. Because we choose it. Every damn day. Sex was our language, fluent and filthy, evolving from frantic releases to something sacred. In his bed, king-sized, sheets perpetually rumpled, we mapped each other with reverence. The constellation of freckles across his shoulders from mill days, the sensitive hollow behind my knee that made me gasp. He'd go slow sometimes, eyes locked, murmuring beautiful like a mantra, drawing out my pleasure until I shattered, arching under him. Other times, urgency won, me pinning him down, riding the wave of his groans, nails raking his chest until red welts bloomed like badges. But romance wove through the rawness. Wildflowers he'd tuck into my bike basket, anonymous at first until I caught him red-handed. Mixtapes burned on his ancient stereo, Springsteen ballads mixed with Hosier tracks that had me tearing up. We'd dance in the kitchen to Dancing in the Dark. His lead clumsy but earnest, my head on his shoulder, swaying to rhythms older than us. Alex's integration was the real tightrope. He'd warm by degrees, joining Corey picnics with Mia, grilling burgers while side-eyeing our PDAs, eventually tossing in jabs like, "Get a room, not in the truck." Pervs. One milestone night, post-game burgers at the Waffle House. He pulled me aside in the parking lot, neon buzzing overhead. "It's weird as hell," he admitted, kicking gravel. "But Dad's happy. Hasn't touched a bottle since you two went public-ish. So, thanks, I guess." I hugged him fierce, the kind that said brothers forever, no matter the mess. "Love you, man." Always. Back home, tensions simmered elsewhere. Joseph's firehouse crew, good old boys with tattoos and tall tales, tested the waters with bro hugs that lingered awkward, jokes that skirted too close to barbs. One shift, after a brush fire call, his buddy Hank clapped his back too hard. "Heard you're batting for the other team now, Joey. Need tips?" Joseph laughed it off, but came home bruised, not in body but spirit, collapsing into my arms with a curse. 30 years pulling hoses with these assholes, and now I'm the freak show. I held him through the rage, then the quiet, fetching his favorite bourbon, not to drown, but to sip slow on the porch. "They're scared," I said, echoing therapy podcasts I'd devoured. "Of what you represent, change they can't control. But you're still the guy who dragged Ray out of that warehouse blaze. That doesn't fade." He pulled me onto his lap, chin on my shoulder, staring at fireflies winking like conspirators. "What did I do to deserve you, kid?" "Fixed a bike," I teased, nipping his ear. And my heart, fall crept in, leaves turning the neighborhood to flame, college deferral ticking like a bomb. UGA acceptance loomed, but Savannah called louder art school anonymity, beaches a drive away. Joseph supported, voice steady over dinner. "Go chase it, Josh. I'll visit weekends, build you a damn drafting table." But doubt shadowed his eyes, the fear of distance fraying our thread. Alex sensed it, ambushing me after a pickup game at the park, sweat-soaked and grinning. You're bailing on us for beads and tourists? Savannah joke, old as dirt. I shrugged, tossing the football back, but he sobered quick. Dad's pretending fine, but he's spooked. Talk to him, dummy. That night, under a harvest moon fat and gold, we drove to Stone Mountain, hiking the summit trail in silence, hands brushing trailside. At the top, city sprawl glittering below like a circuit board, he cracked. Don't leave me behind, he said, voice raw, pulling me against the chain link overlook. Wind whipped, carrying Pine and his cologne, and I tasted tears when we kissed. Desperate, devouring, the world vast and indifferent. I'm not, I vowed, palms framing his face. This is us, Joe. Roots and wings. We grow together. He nodded, but the seed of fracture took hold. Winter holidays amplified it. Thanksgiving at my folks', tense with Mom's probing glances and Dad's grunts. Then Christmas at Joseph's, tree strung with Sarah's ornaments. Alex and Mia bickering over lights. Gifts exchanged. Leather wallet from him, etched, J&J forever. Sketchpad for me, cover inked with our Corey silhouette. But under the cheer, countdown to January, my Savannah move ticked louder. New Year's Eve sealed the schism. Block party in the cul-de-sac, bonfires crackling, neighbors toasting resolutions. We danced close, Joseph's arm possessive around my waist, but Alex pulled him aside mid-song, words lost to bass thump. I watched from afar, champagne fizzing forgotten, as Joseph's face hardened, then crumpled. He stormed off, truck roaring to life, leaving me chasing through confetti-littered streets. I found him at the quarry, bottle in hand, staring at black water. Alex said it, he slurred, eyes glassy. That I'm selfish. Keeping you here when you got dreams. That I'm no better than the ghost of Sarah, holding on too tight. Bullshit. I wanted to roar, but guilt twisted. Had I strung him along? College a polite postponement? Rain started, fitting dirge, soaking us as I straddled him in the truck bed, stripping wet layers. You're not holding, I gasped, guiding him inside me, rain mingling with sweat. You're home, we climaxed to thunder, clinging as sobs shook him. Fear of loss, of being the villain in his son's eyes, in mine. I whispered promises, but dawn brought clarity. Betrayal anew, not of bodies but futures. Alex had voiced Joseph's buried dread, forcing the mirror. January hit like frostbite. I packed for Savannah, boxes labeled in Sharpie, Joseph's hands helping but trembling. Alex hugged goodbye stiff, muttering call, asshole, eyes wet. Drive south on I-85, Joseph trailing in his truck to the dorms. Sterile room smelling of fresh paint, posters waiting to claim walls. He lingered in the parking lot, engine idling, my duffel at my feet. Proud of you, he said, voice gravel. Kiss goodbye lingered, salty with unsaid. 2 months in, art bloomed life drawing classes where models' forms echoed his, critiques sharpening my edge. Weekends, he'd drive down, motel romps turning tender, but distance gnawed. Missed calls from mill emergencies, my late-night studio sessions. Texts grew sparse, laced with miss you, that felt like please. Spring break shattered it. I came home unannounced, he still biting my palm, bursting into the kitchen with arms full of takeout from our spot. But the scene froze me, Joseph at the table, head in hands, Alex across, voice rising. She's perfect. Dad, Mia and me, talking rings. You could have that normalcy again. Not this. Experiment with Josh. Joseph's head snapped up, spotting me, face ashen. It's not an experiment, he growled. But doubt flickered. Had it been? The easy out Alex dangled. A widow's second chance with some church lady? Betrayal burned triplefold. Alex's meddling, Joseph's waver, my own naivety thinking love armored us. I dropped the bags, food spilling like guts. Fuck normal, I spat, voice steel. If that's what you want, Joe, go play house. I'll be the mistake you outgrow. I bolted, bike long soled, sprinting streets until lungs burned. His truck found me at the lake, headlights cutting fog. He yanked me in, apologies tumbling. Never doubt, Josh. Alex is scared, for me, for us. But you're it. My forever. We drove to the quarry, making love on the hood under emerging stars, fierce, reclaiming. But the crack lingered, a fault line. Summer return brought reckoning. Joseph's shop thrived, orders stacking, but he'd aged lines deeper, laugh rarer. Alex proposed to Mia, engagement party a minefield of toasts and glances. I cornered him in the garage, tools echoing our origin. You almost broke us, I accused. He sighed, wrench in hand. I thought I was saving him. From heartbreak. From you leaving again. Love's the risk, I said. Not the save. He nodded, clapping my shoulder. Forgiveness, hard won. Fall deepened our roots. I commuted weekends, Joseph's visits flipping the script. We built a loft bed in my dorm from his scraps, a joint tattoo on ribs, wrench and chain, linked. Town softened, Mrs. Hargrove even ordered a console table, winking, for my nephew's wedding. But climax brewed in November rain, anniversary storm mirroring our start. Alex called frantic, Dad's collapsing, chest pains, quarry sight, our lights harsh, doctors murmuring arrhythmia, stress, they said, from overwork. I held his hand through beeps, Alex pacing, Mia soothing. In recovery, Joseph gripped my fingers, voice weak, scared me, thinking I might leave you. Unfinished. You won't, I vowed, kissing knuckles. We're solid. Discharge brought change, Joseph scaled back. Therapy sessions where he unpacked Sarah's ghost, coming out tales to the group. Alex joined once. Raw admission. I pushed because I feared losing you both. Winter healed. Christmas. Full house. My parents thawing with eggnog toast. Dad's gruff, welcome to the circus. Malone. New Year's. We danced in the cul-de-sac. No storms. Just us. Spring. I graduated SCAD. Portfolio bursting. Pieces of him in every stroke. Job offer in Atlanta. Graphic firm downtown. Commute to our shared loft above the shop. Joseph's hands shaping wood while mine shaped pixels. Summer solstice. Quarry picnic. Alex and Mia wed nearby. Our best man duties traded. Under fireflies, Joseph knelt. Not proposal, but promise. Built us a life. Josh. Stay. I pulled him up. Yes, in a kiss. Rain threatened, but held off. We'd fixed more than bikes, broken trusts, buried fears. Lives changed, not destroyed, in the grease and grace of love. The loft above Joseph's woodshop became our fortress. A third-floor airy in Midtown Atlanta where exposed brick whispered industrial grit, and floor-to-ceiling windows framed the skyline like a promise. We'd gutted it together that first summer postgrad, him with saws and levels, me with paint rollers and cursing at IKEA instructions, turning raw space into home. King bed shoved against the window for city-wake sex, kitchen island scarred from late-night charcuterie, bookshelf sagging under Baldwin and woodworking tomes. It smelled of sawdust and my citrus cologne, a blend uniquely us. Mornings, I'd wake to his side of the bed empty, coffee brewing downstairs where the shop hummed to life. Descend the spiral stairs in boxers, dodging lumber stacks, to find him in overalls, measuring cherry for a dining set, pencil tucked behind ear. Morning, artist, he'd greet, pulling me over the counter for a kiss that tasted of varnish and want. I'd brew his black, 2 sugars, while sketching logos on napkins, freelance gigs padding rent until the firm gig kicked in. Alex and Mia's wedding had sealed our tribe. Vows exchanged under oaks at the family farm outside town. Alex in a rented tux looking like a kid playing grown-up, Mia radiant in lace. I'd stood beside him, Joseph's best man mirror across the aisle, our eyes locking during forsaking all others with wry smiles, irony thick as the cake. Reception danced long into honeysuckle night. Father-son twirl awkward but tender, Alex whispering thanks for sticking, in my ear mid-spin. Mia pulled me aside later, bouquet in hand. Your family now, Josh. The good kind. Honeymoon glow carried into fall. Alex settling into coaching Little League while Mia prepped for nursing school. They'd crash our loft Sundays. Pot roast from her crock pot. Football on the flat screen we'd mounted crooked. Banter flowed easy. Alex ribbing Joseph's hippie phase with the therapy circle. Me dodging Mia's baby name polls. Under it, bonds mended. Alex admitting over IPAs one night, I was a dick, pushing that normal crap. Scared you'd both bail on me like mom's illness did. Joseph clapped his shoulder. Eyes misty. We don't bail, son. We build. Workdays blurred. Me in a cubicle jungle downtown, pitching rebrands for craft breweries, escaping to lunch runs at the food trucks. Joseph's shop burgeoned, commissions from Buckhead wives, a feature in Atlanta homes and gardens that had hipsters queuing for reclaimed coffee tables. Evenings, we'd unwind on the fire escape, city pulse below, sharing triumphs. My first solo client, his first apprentice, a lanky queer kid named Tyler, all tattoos and timidity, who Joseph mentored with the same quiet steel he'd given me. But cracks spiderwebbed subtle. Joseph's health scare lingered, pills rattling in his pocket, checkups penciled like threats. I'd catch him rubbing his chest after long days, waving off concern with old man aches. Therapy unearthed more. Survivor's guilt over Sarah, the closet's claustrophobia preemie, now morphing to fear of complacency. What if I hold you back? He'd murmur in bed, fingers tracing my ink, that wrench and chain duo pulsing with my heartbeat. I'd straddle him then, pinning wrists to headboard, voice fierce. You launched me, Joe. Dreams don't clip wings, they fuel flights. Sex followed, reaffirming, me topping rare but potent, drawing out his submission until he begged. Blue eyes dark with trust. Holidays amplified joys and jitters. Thanksgiving at my parents'. Table groaning under turkey and sides. Mom's cranberry relish tart as her questions. When you two making it official? City's got those rainbow weddings now. Dad harumphed but passed potatoes without glare. Progress. Christmas Eve at the Malones. Tree aglow with LED strands. Alex's modern touch. Gifts unwrapped to ooze. Custom letterpress prints from me. A carved hope chest from Joseph for future grandkids, Alex joked, winking at Mia's subtle bump reveal. New Year's. Loft party small but electric. Tyler and his boyfriend bringing queer zine hauls. Alex and Mia slow dancing in the kitchen. Fireworks popped over Piedmont Park. Joseph's arms banding my waist on the roof. Chin on shoulder. To us, he toasted with champagne flutes. Clink echoing resolve. Winter thawed to spring rains. My firm promotion syncing with Joseph's gallery showing custom installations for a Vinings exhibit. Opening night, black tie swank in a warehouse-turned-art space. I in slim chinos and button-down. Him in tailored vest that hugged his frame like sin. Patrons milled, sipping Pinot, cooing over his live-edge slabs veined like lightning. Alex cornered a critic, proud as punch. I hovered, snapping candids for his sight. But mid-toast, Joseph's face blanched, hand clutching mine under the high top. Not now, he muttered, sweat beading. I steered him to a side alcove, heart hammering. Another episode? He waved me off, breath steadying. Just nerves. Big night. We slipped out early, driving skyline loops, his head on my shoulder at red lights. Proud? He asked, vulnerable. Always, I said, kissing knuckles. Home. We christened the new year slow, candles guttering, bodies sinking to jazz from the turntable, his gasps my symphony. Summer scorched back, anniversary storm brewing. 2 years since the wrench. We'd planned a getaway Asheville cabin, Blue Ridge hikes, no cells. But en route, Joseph's truck sputtered on 285, overheating like a bad omen. Pulled over, hood up, he tinkered while I paced, thunder grumbling. Like old times, I teased, handing tools. He grinned, grease-smearing cheek. Yeah. But better ending. Cabin nights blurred bliss. Trout streams, porch swings, bed creaking under us. One dawn, fog-shrouded, he carved our initials into a hemlock. J&J, forever etched. Promise, he said, serious. Back in Atlanta, routine reclaimed, but undercurrents stirred. Tyler confided over shop coffee. Boss man's pushing too hard. Skip docs again. Worry nod. I prompted gently. Met resistance. I'm fine, babe. Focus on your pitch. Fall foliage tour with Alex and Mia. Leaf peeping in North Georgia. Tailgate picnics ease tensions. Alex pulled me aside at Amicalola Falls. Mist rainbowing. Dad looks tired. Talk to him. I nodded. Guilt twisting. Had I missed signs? Buried in deadlines? November rains lashed, mirroring that first storm. Joseph's checkup loomed. I cleared my calendar, but he canceled last minute. Client emergency. Suspicion prickled. Confrontation brewed post-Thanksgiving. Loft dim with takeout boxes. What's the secret? I demanded, voice sharp. Pills gone. But you're ghosting me. He deflated, rubbing temples. Biopsy. Doc found a spot, lungs, maybe from mill dust. Waiting results. World tilted. I pulled him close, fury at fate warring tears. Why hide? Scared it'd break us, he whispered. Like Sarah. Didn't want pity. No pity, I vowed. Fight. Results came cruel, early stage, treatable, but chemo loomed, hair loss, nausea, the grind. Alex rallied. Mia cooking freezes. My parents sent care packages. Mom's cookies laced with love notes. Joseph's crew rotated vigils, Hank with bad jokes. Tyler with playlists. Treatment hollowed him. Frame gaunt. Stubble gone to scalp shine, but spirit blazed. Shop idled, but he sketched designs from bed. Me at his side logging orders. Nights, I'd hold him through chills, tracing veins like rivers. Strongest man I know. Alex visited daily. Bedside confessions. Wish I'd fought harder for you sooner. This us is worth it. Spring bloomed defiant. Chemo cycles waned. Scans clearish. Joseph's hair regrew silver fox thick. We celebrated with a vow renewal courthouse quickie. Alex officiating in the park. Mia snapping pics. Rings simple. Steel bands engraved wrench and chain. Summer solstice. Quarry picnic redux. Full circle. Lives woven. Joseph's health held. Shop rehired apprentices. My firm greenlit a queer-owned client line. Alex's son arrived September, little Jack. Red-faced screamer. Making Joseph Gramps. Me Uncle Josh. Storms came, but we weathered, grease-slick hands clasped. Hearts open. Changed completely? Hell yes. For the better. Autumn's palette painted Atlanta in golds and crimsons. A fleeting beauty before the chill bit deep. Little Jack's arrival had reshaped the Malone orbit. Mia nesting in their starter ranch. Alex pacing daddy duty with bleary-eyed wonder. Joseph and I slotted as the steady uncles. Loft life a haven amid the chaos. Diaper runs and midnight feedings pulled us into the fray. I'd bounce the tyke on my knee while Joseph whittled tiny baseball bats, his laugh booming when Jack gummed the handle. Future slugger, he'd declare, eyes soft on his son-turned-father. But under the domestic hum, shadows lingered. Joseph's post-chemo scans glowed clean, yet fatigue clung like damp leaves. Naps snatched on the couch, hands trembling on fine tools. Therapy shifted focus. Legacy, not just survival. Want more than tables. He'd muse over dinner, take out Thai steaming. Something lasting. For Jack. For Alex. For us. I nodded. Fork midway. Inspiration sparking. Community center classes. Teach queer kids woodworking, build pride. Literal and figure. His eyes lit. Blueprint born. We pitched at fall council meeting, me on slides. Him on passion. Securing a grant for hands on heritage at the rec center. First class. 10 teens. Nervous energy crackling. Saws buzzing under Joseph's patient guidance. Tyler co-taught. Sharing coming out scars turned strengths. I facilitated art tie-ins. Etching designs on reclaimed planks. Watching Joseph shine, Callus's mentoring instead of masking swelled my chest. One kid, shy with braces, carved a pride flag box, whispering thanks, Mr. Malone. Feels possible now. Winter wrapped us cozy. Holidays amplified. Jack's first Christmas. Fat in a Santa onesie. Yanking ornaments while Alex groaned. Our gift to the fam. A custom family tree. Branches etched with names and dates. Sarah's limb blooming eternal. Mom hosted New Year's. Her kitchen a whirlwind of collards and cornbread. Dad toasting to the queers who stuck it out with surprising sincerity. Bourbon loosening old guards. Loft life deepened intimacy. With shop classes evenings. Mornings stretched lazy. Me waking to his mouth on my hip. Slow worship drawing moans that echoed off bricks. We'd shower tandem. Soapy hands exploring. Steam fogging debates. Missionary or against the glass? Laughter bubbled. Love liquid. Spring brought expansion. Firm promotion to creative director. Handling queer advocacy campaigns that had me traveling Savannah for pitches. Joseph encouraged. Packing lunches with notes. Knock 'em dead. Hot stuff. But absences chafed. One weekender in Charleston. Hotel bed cold. I Skyped him mid-shower. Steam curling. Miss this, I growled, hand fisting myself to his voice. Rough commands, gasps sinking across miles. Betrayal's ghost revisited subtly. Alex, deep in new dad fog, snapped during a barbecue, Jack fussing, Mia exhausted. You two make it look easy, he vented, beer sloshing. Dad's cancer, your moves yet here, all lovey. Wish I had that buffer. Joseph knelt, hand on knee. You do, son. Us flaws and all. Leans on family, not perfection. Alex deflated, hugging fierce. Later, Mia confided, he's scared of failing Jack like Dad failed us post-mom. Healing rippled. Summer solstice marked 5 years since the wrench, anniversary eve storm raging. We escaped to the cabin, Asheville fog nostalgic. Trail hike turned proposal. Not knees, but carved rings exchanged under waterfall mist. Ebony inlays, vows etched inside, fixed forever. Back home, party small, Alex grilling, Mia toasting, Tyler DJing queer anthems. Rain held, stars our canopy. Fall classes boomed, hands-on waitlisted, kids building benches for Pride March. Joseph's feature in Out magazine went viral local. Widower woodworker carves space for queer youth. Backlash nipped, anonymous shop graffiti. Mill holdouts muttering, but support surged. Donations, cameos from Atlanta's drag scene. Winter holidays peak joy. Jack's second Christmas. Toddling to the tree. Joseph's lap his throne for story time. Grinch voiced gravelly. Our gift. Adoption papers drafted. Not rushed but real, future-proofing us. But climax brewed in January frost. Joseph's routine scan flagged anomaly. Scar tissue or shadow. Biopsy scheduled. Dread coiling. A cleared Dex. But he downplayed. Routine. Babe. Results day. Rec center empty post-class. He waited in the office, wood shavings floor confetti. Doc's call. Benign. Old echo. Relief crashed. Me tackling him to the desk. Kisses bruising. Scared me, I panted. Me too, he admitted. Thought I'd lose this, us. The kids. The legacy. No losing, I vowed. Hands roaming. Sex on that desk, urgent. Affirming sealed it. Spring bloomed collaborations. My firm partnering with the Center for Youth Scenes. Joseph's builds housing art. Alex joined a class. Father-son project. Crib for Jack's sibling en route. Therapy in timber, he quipped. Summer heatwave tested. Shop AC failed mid-July. Classes sweltering. I rigged fans. Joseph pushing through. One eve, Tyler pulled me aside. He's overdoing. Coughs back. Dry. But persistent. Prompted. Joseph confessed. Residuals. Doc says monitor. Chemo ghosts. We adjusted yoga for breath. Walks at dawn. Romance reignited. Sunset cruises on the Chattahoochee. Picnic blankets and wine. His head in lap as I read poetry, Whitman. Fierce and free. Fall harvest festival. Center booth thrived. Kids hawking crafts. Joseph demoing lathes. Alex manned grill. Mia with newborn Ella swaddled. Jack chased fireflies. My hand in Joseph's. Full circle. Winter solstice. Loft aglow candles. We hosted queer family dinner. Tyler's crew. Center alums. Toasts to resilience. Joseph's speech. Voice steady. We carve from chaos. Loves the Grain. New Year Dawned Collaborative. Podcast pitch. Sawn Truths. Queer stories in wood and word. Guests lined. Alex on brotherhood. Mia on allyship. But undercurrent stirred. My firm headhunt from NYC. Big League Queer Media. Salary double. Skyline brighter. Joseph encouraged. Go if it calls. Doubt Ward. Loft talk stretched. Roots here, he said. But your wings. Spring decision. Counteroffer remote hybrid. Atlanta base. Staying, I announced over brunch. Relief flooded his eyes. Kiss sealed. Summer anniversary. Quarry vow renewal. Circle expanded. Alex officiating. Kids flower tossing. Storm threatened. Held. Lives layered. Changed profound. File 4 END. Word count. 1,000. The relentless churn of Atlanta's seasons became our rhythm. A heartbeat syncing Joseph's steady pulse with my creative frenzy. By our 7th year, the loft had evolved. A nursery nook for Jack and Ella's sleepovers. Walls papered in kids' crayon masterpieces. Joseph's shop below, a hive of mentorship buzzing 24/7. Hands on Heritage had franchised Mini. Satellites in Decatur and East Point. Queer youth wielding mallets like magic wands. Building not just furniture but futures. I'd quit the firm for full-time curation. Turning center art into exhibits touring the South. My sketches now murals gracing MARTA stations. Mornings lingered sacred. Coffee steam curling as Joseph sketched apprentices' schedules. Me at the drafting table inking logos for a new queer brewery collab. Buddy, gray-muzzled now, snored at our feet, a relic of beginnings. Old man still got it, Joseph teased, nuzzling my neck till pencils scattered. Alex's family anchored us. Ella's toddler tantrums echoed playdates. Jack's t-ball swings coached by Gramps' gravel cheers. Mia's nursing shifts meant uncle duty. Me wrangling kiddos for story hours. Joseph whittling props. One chaotic afternoon, flour dusted from failed cookies. Jack piped, Uncle Josh, you and Gramps marry? Like mommy-daddy, blunt as a chisel. I knelt, floury hands on his shoulders. Working on it, slugger. Love's a big build. Joseph overheard from the doorway, eyes misting. That night, post-bedtime, he pulled a velvet box from his vest, rings upgraded, sapphires winking like quarry stars. Marry me proper? Vows? Cake? The works. Tears pricked. Yes tumbled easy. Planning frenzy ensued. Spring wedding. Rooftop venue overlooking the park. Guest list a tapestry, firehouse vets. Center kids. My parents' beaming tentative pride. Winter prep world. Holidays fused houses. Malone ranch strung lights. My folks' den crackling fire. Jack and Ella helped wrap. Tape sticky. Alex proposed a bachelor hike. Blue Ridge bonding. Full circle. Bro. He toasted at trail's end. Flask passed. From wrecking my world to rebuilding it. Guilt flickered, old scar. Sorry for the start, I murmured. He clapped back. Nah. Best plot twist. Spring bloomed vows. Rooftop altar under azaleas. Joseph in linen suit. Me in embroidered vest, his design. Alex best man. Mia matron with babes in tow. Officiant queer elder from center. Words weaving our tale. Wrench falls. Storms rage. Loves endure. Rings exchanged. Sapphires catching sun. Kiss sealed thunderous. Cheers erupting. Reception pulsed. Drag brunch fusion. Tyler emceeing. Toasts roasting our late start. Dance floor packed. Joseph twirling me to Chapel Roan. Alex cutting in with Don't Hog My Dad. Cake smash silly. Frosting smeared in kisses. Honeymoon. Coastal road trip. Savannah to Tybee. Motels and beaches. Nights tangled in sheets salt crisp. Days exploring forts. His hand in mine unyielding. Husband. He tested one dawn. Waves crashing. Felt right solid. Back. Married glow carried. Shop installed a Malone Michaels plaque hyphenated legacy. My murals commissioned statewide. His classes TEDx bound. Alex's third kid loomed. Family sprawling. But conflict simmered subtle. Joseph's cough persisted. Doc chalked to allergies. But Tyler noticed. Pushing limits. Boss. Scale back. Echoed. Met deflection. Got this. Hubs. Therapy unearthed. Control fear. Post-cancer. Don't want a burden, he confessed. No burden, I countered. Partner. Summer heat tested. Center Pride booth sweltered. Kids painting faces while Joseph demoed. Anonymous notes slipped under wipers. Pervert mill man corrupts youth. Hates hiss. Joseph crumpled it, but shoulders sagged. Home. Loft dim. He paced. Worth it? Exposing us, kids. You to this. I pulled him to the window. City lights our jury. Hates noise. We're signal. Sex followed slow. Reclaiming. His body arching under mine. Gasps affirmations. Fall harvest brought bounty. Exhibit opening. My murals beside his installs. Carved visions. Critics raved. Alex brought fam. Jack gaping. You made the walls. Uncle. But scan loomed, routine turned ominous. Results. Nodule. Benign but watchful. Relief short. Joseph withdrew. Shop hours erratic. Confrontation brewed November rain. Loft thunderous. I cornered. Talk. Cough. Distance. Lying by omission. He broke. Tears hot. Scared its back. Of leaving you widowed young. Like Sarah me. Arms banded. I held. Fight again. Together. Therapy double sessions. Support group for spouses. Me sharing raw. Alex rallied. Lean. Dad. We're your grain. Winter solstice. Center solstice fair. Lanterns lit for lost loves. Joseph's speech. We carve light from dark. Cough eased with inhalers. Scans stabilized. New Year. Podcast launch. Sawn Truths Episode 1. Our story wrenched to wedding. Listeners flooded. Thanks. Invites. Spring renewal. Vow picnic. Center kids performing skits. Jack proposed toast. To Gramps and Uncle, best builders. Summer anniversary. 8th. Corey rebuilt, picnic tables his design. Engraved benches. Storm held. Stars our witness. But climax crested July 4th. Fireworks boomed. Center bash electric. Drag shows. Food trucks. Joseph keynote. Voice strong. Pride's in the making. Midset. Chest clutched. He faltered. Ambulance wail. Our déjà vu heart strain. Stress overload. I held hand through IVs. Alex pacing. Not again. Discharge. Lifestyle pivot. Semi-retire. Co-lead classes. Joseph's concession. For us. Fall mended. Exhibit tour. Charleston. Voices amplified. Alex's son Theo born. Naming Joseph godfather. Winter holidays peaked. For grandkids chaos. Tree toppling. Our gift. Foundation charter. Malone Michaels makers. Youth scholarships. New year dawned visionary. Book deal. From splinters to strength. Our memoir. Writing sessions. Loft lamplit. His pen mind's muse. Spring wedding anniversary. Vow refresh. Park cherry blossoms. Kids scattered petals. Alex. Eternal plot twist. Summer solstice. Quarry full fam picnic. Center alums. Joseph's cough gone. Energy renewed. Changed everything, he murmured. Hand in mine. Yes, I agreed. For keeps. Legacy bloomed. Classes global online. Murals landmarks. Betrayals? Forged steel. Storms? Past. Lives? Completely altered. Richer. Rooted. Radiant.